Walk into any office today and count the sick days, colds, flu, allergies, chronic fatigue, autoimmune diseases affecting millions. The average American gets sick 2 to 4 times per year. Children even more. We accept this as normal, inevitable, part of being human. But when researchers study ancient Roman populations through skeletal remains, medical records, and historical accounts, they find something unexpected. Romans were remarkably healthy. Infectious disease existed, yes. Plagues happened. But chronic illness, the kind that defines modern life, was rare. Autoimmune disorders, diabetes, obesity, widespread allergies, these barely existed. Roman soldiers marched 40 kilometers daily, carrying 30 kilograms of gear. They did this for decades. No widespread joint problems, no metabolic disease. Laborers built structures that still stand today, working physically demanding jobs into their 60s and beyond. Modern construction workers are often disabled by 50. What did Romans know about health that we've forgotten? The answer isn't medicine. Roman medicine was primitive by our standards. The answer is lifestyle. Diet, activity, sleep, exposure to nature. Romans lived in ways that built robust immune systems and metabolic health. We live in ways that destroy both. And the pharmaceutical industry profits from our sickness. Before continuing, if you enjoy these forgotten secrets of ancient Rome, join our growing community by subscribing. Each week, we reveal another piece of lost knowledge that challenges everything the modern industry tells you. Click subscribe. Join us. More lost Roman wisdom is coming, and you won't want to miss it. Comment below. How many times did you get sick last year? How many medications do you take regularly? Because what follows will make you question everything about modern health. Let's examine the evidence. In the United States, 6 in 10 adults have at least one chronic disease. 4 in 10 have 2 or more. Heart disease, diabetes, cancer, autoimmune disorders like Crohn's disease, lupus, multiple sclerosis. These conditions were extremely rare 100 years ago. Today, they're epidemics. Type 2 diabetes alone affects over 37 million Americans. In 1960, it affected less than 1% of the population. Obesity has tripled since 1975. Allergies and asthma have quadrupled. Autoimmune diseases have increased by 300% in the past 50 years. Something changed, and it wasn't our genetics. Genes don't shift that fast. Environment does. The modern immune system is confused. It attacks pollen as if it's a deadly pathogen. It targets the body's own tissues, mistaking them for invaders. It fails to recognize actual threats, allowing infections to take hold. Why? Because we've removed the training ground. For 200,000 years, humans lived in close contact with dirt, animals, and diverse microbes. Our immune systems evolved in that environment. They learned to distinguish threats from harmless exposures. Modern life is sterile. We sanitize everything. Antibacterial soap, disinfectant wipes, chlorinated water, pasteurized food. Children grow up never touching soil, never drinking from streams, never exposed to the microbial diversity that trains immunity. The result is an immune system that overreacts or underperforms. Allergies, autoimmunity, frequent infections. Then there's the metabolic disaster. Romans ate whole foods, grains, vegetables, legumes, meat in moderation, olive oil. Their diet was nutrient-dense and fiber-rich. They walked everywhere, worked physically, moved constantly. Modern humans eat processed foods stripped of nutrients and loaded with sugar. We sit for 10 hours a day, drive everywhere. The only exercise many people get is deliberate, scheduled gym sessions. This mismatch between biology and behavior creates metabolic dysfunction. Insulin resistance, Inflammation, hormonal imbalances. These aren't diseases in themselves, they're precursors. Left unchecked, they become diabetes, heart disease, cancer. Sleep is another casualty. Romans slept with the sun. No artificial light, no screens. Their circadian rhythms were aligned with natural day-night cycles. Modern humans stare at blue light until midnight. Sleep is disrupted. Poor sleep impairs immune function, increases inflammation, and accelerates aging. Studies show that even 1 week of insufficient sleep significantly reduces the body's ability to fight infections. Romans got 8 to 9 hours nightly. We average 6 to 7 and call it sufficient. Stress is chronic in modern life. Financial pressure, work deadlines, social media comparison, constant notifications. This activates the sympathetic nervous system continuously. Cortisol stays elevated. Chronic stress suppresses immune function, promotes weight gain, and damages cardiovascular health. Romans had stress, certainly. Wars, famines. But daily life for most people was rhythmic. Physical work, social interaction, downtime, no emails, no 24-hour news cycles feeding anxiety. The nervous system had time to recover. Romans didn't have gyms. They didn't need them. Physical activity was integrated into daily life. Walking was the primary mode of transport. Soldiers marched, laborers hauled, farmers plowed. Even wealthy Romans walked extensively. The city of Rome was designed for pedestrians. Markets, baths, forums, all required movement. This constant, low-intensity activity kept metabolic systems functioning optimally. It maintained muscle mass, cardiovascular health, and joint mobility without the need for deliberate exercise. Modern humans drive to the gym, work out for an hour, then sit for the remaining 15 waking hours. Romans moved for 12 to 14 hours daily. The difference is profound. Diet was whole and unprocessed. Bread made from stone-ground whole grains, vegetables grown locally without pesticides, meat from animals raised on pasture, not feedlots, fish caught fresh, olive oil cold-pressed, legumes soaked and cooked simply, fruit eaten seasonally. This diet was rich in fiber, which feeds beneficial gut bacteria. It was high in polyphenols from plants, which reduce inflammation. It was low in sugar, preventing insulin spikes. And it was micronutrient dense. Vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, all present in forms the body recognizes and absorbs efficiently. Modern diets are the opposite. Refined grains stripped of fiber, vegetables grown in depleted soil and sprayed with chemicals, meat from animals fed unnatural diets and treated with antibiotics, fish contaminated with heavy metals, seed oils processed at high heat, creating oxidized fats, sugar hidden in every product. This food creates inflammation, disrupts gut health, and starves cells of nutrients. Romans were exposed to dirt. Constantly. They worked with soil, walked barefoot, drank from wells and streams, ate food that wasn't obsessively washed. This exposed them to billions of microbes. Most were harmless, many were beneficial. This microbial exposure trained the immune system. It learned to differentiate between pathogens and benign organisms. It developed regulatory pathways that prevented overreaction. Modern humans live in sanitized environments. We wash hands compulsively, sterilize surfaces, filter water. Our gut microbiomes, which house 70% of immune cells, are impoverished. Studies comparing rural populations with high microbial exposure to urban populations show dramatic differences. Rural people have more diverse microbiomes and lower rates of allergies, asthma, and autoimmune diseases. Sun exposure was daily. Romans worked outdoors. Soldiers trained outside. Even city dwellers spent hours in forums and markets under open sky. This provided vitamin D, which is critical for immune function. Vitamin D deficiency is linked to increased infection rates, autoimmune disease, and depression. Modern humans spend 90% of their time indoors: offices, cars, homes. Vitamin D levels are often insufficient, especially in winter. Supplementation helps but doesn't replicate the full spectrum of benefits from natural sunlight. Social connection was built into Roman life. Meals were communal. Public baths were social spaces. Work was often collaborative. Humans are social animals. Isolation is biologically stressful. Modern life is isolating. People eat alone, work from home alone, scroll phones alone. Loneliness is recognized as a health risk equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It increases inflammation, weakens immunity, and shortens lifespan. Romans didn't have to schedule social time. It was embedded in daily routines. Modern research validates what Romans practiced instinctively. The hygiene hypothesis, proposed in 1989, suggests that reduced microbial exposure in childhood increases allergy and autoimmune risk. Studies in Finland comparing children raised on farms to those in cities found that farm children had half the rates of asthma and allergies. The difference? Exposure to animals, soil, and diverse microbes. Roman children played in dirt. Modern children play on sanitized plastic. Gut microbiome research shows that diet directly shapes microbial diversity. Fiber feeds beneficial bacteria like bifidobacteria and lactobacilli. These produce short-chain fatty acids that reduce inflammation and strengthen gut lining. Romans ate 50 to 100 grams of fiber daily from whole grains, legumes, and vegetables. Modern Americans average 15 grams. The result is a gut microbiome dominated by harmful bacteria, leading to leaky gut, systemic inflammation, and immune dysfunction. Metabolic research confirms that constant movement prevents insulin resistance. Studies show that breaking up sedentary time with even light activity improves glucose metabolism. Romans never sat for hours straight. Modern office workers do. This alone explains much of the diabetes epidemic. Exercise is important, but it can't compensate for 10 hours of sitting. Circadian biology shows that light exposure dictates hormonal rhythms. Morning sunlight sets cortisol and serotonin production. Evening darkness triggers melatonin. Romans lived by this rhythm naturally. Modern humans disrupted with artificial light. The consequence is sleep disorders, mood disorders, and metabolic dysfunction. Studies on shift workers, whose circadian rhythms are chronically disrupted, show increased rates of obesity, diabetes, and cancer. If the solution is obvious, why don't we implement it? Because modern life is designed for profit, not health. The food industry makes money from processed, addictive products. Whole foods don't have high profit margins. Sugar does. Seed oils do. Packaged snacks do. Pharmaceutical companies profit from sickness. Statins for cholesterol. Insulin for diabetes. Immunosuppressants for autoimmune disease. If people ate whole foods, moved daily, and slept well, medication sales would collapse. The system isn't incentivized to prevent disease. It's built to manage it. Urban design prioritizes cars over pedestrians. Suburbs sprawl. Public transport is inadequate. Walking isn't convenient, so people drive everywhere. Offices require sitting. Remote work means even less movement. The infrastructure of modern life is anti-health. Changing it requires policy shifts that challenge powerful industries. Food lobbies, pharmaceutical companies, urban developers. They resist. Cultural norms also entrench poor health. Working long hours is valorized. Sleep is seen as weakness. Convenience foods are normalized. Social media replaces real connection. These aren't individual failures. They're systemic pressures. Romans didn't have to fight their environment to be healthy. Their default lifestyle promoted health. Ours promotes disease. You can't become a Roman, but you can adopt principles. First, move constantly. Walk whenever possible. Take stairs. Stand while working. The goal isn't intense exercise. It's frequent, low-intensity movement throughout the day. Second, eat whole foods. Eliminate processed products. Cook from scratch. Prioritize vegetables, legumes, and whole grains. Avoid added sugars. Choose quality fats like olive oil. This alone will transform metabolic health. Third, Get dirty. Garden without gloves. Let children play outside in soil. Don't obsessively sanitize. Expose yourself to environmental microbes. They train your immune system. Fourth, prioritize sleep. Dim lights after sunset. Avoid screens before bed. Sleep 8 hours. This is non-negotiable for immune function. Fifth, get sunlight. Spend time outdoors daily. Morning light is especially important. If you live in a place with limited sun, consider vitamin D supplementation, but prioritize natural exposure when possible. Finally, build real social connections. Eat meals with others. Join community groups. Limit digital interaction. Human connection is biological medicine. Loneliness kills. Community heals. If this resonates, like and subscribe. Romans weren't superhuman. They lived in alignment with biology. Modern life is misaligned. We've created environments that make us sick, then treat sickness as inevitable. It's not. Chronic disease is largely preventable, not through medication, through lifestyle. The pharmaceutical industry doesn't want you to know this. Healthy people don't generate revenue. Romans prove that robust health is achievable, not through advanced medicine, through simple, ancient practices. Move. Eat real food. Sleep. Connect. Get dirty. Your body will respond. Subscribe. More lost wisdom ahead.